Did you know that over 1,000 people are leaving Florida every single day? That's right. Despite the palm trees, sunny skies, and no state income tax, the so-called Paradise State is watching its longtime residents pack up and leave in record numbers. The same state that used to be the ultimate dream destination is now facing a mass exodus. And it's not just retirees or seasonal snowbirds. Young professionals, families, even born and raised Floridians are all saying the same thing. We can't do this anymore. So, what's really going on? Is it just the hurricanes, the heat, or is there something deeper? Something most people don't see when they imagine sipping mojitos on a beach in Miami. From skyrocketing housing prices to a growing insurance crisis, life in Florida has quietly become a daily struggle for millions. And the worst part? It's only getting harder. In this video, we're diving into the 10 biggest reasons why life in Florida has become nearly impossible. Reasons that might shock you, frustrate you, or even make you reconsider that Florida dream altogether. Stick around, because some of these might hit closer to home than you think. Number 1. Skyrocketing housing costs. Once known for its affordable living and retiree-friendly prices, Florida is now one of the most unaffordable states in the U.S. In cities like Miami, Tampa, and Orlando, housing costs have exploded, some areas seeing price increases of over 60% since 2020. According to Redfin, the median home price in Miami has crossed $600,000, pricing out not just first-time buyers, but even middle-class families with stable incomes. It's not just buying that's become impossible. Renters are suffering too. A simple one-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood can now cost anywhere from $2,000 to $2,800 per month, and that's without counting utilities, parking, or rising HOA fees. And what do people get for that price? Tiny spaces, outdated appliances, and in some cases, mold problems and poor maintenance. Many residents are stuck paying half or more of their income just to keep a roof over their heads. Why the sudden spike? There are a few major reasons. First, the pandemic-era migration boom brought in thousands of out-of-state buyers, especially from New York, California, and New Jersey, who often paid in cash and well above asking price. This drove up prices fast. On top of that, investors and Airbnb hosts have snatched up homes, turning residential neighborhoods into short-term rental zones, which limits housing inventory for locals. And here's the kicker: wages in Florida haven't kept up. While housing costs soar, the average income remains relatively low, putting working-class residents in an impossible bind. People who've lived in their communities for decades are being forced to leave because they simply can't afford to stay. So much for affordable paradise. For many, the dream of living in Florida is turning into a financial nightmare, and it's only the beginning. Number 2. Climate change. Florida has always been hot, but now it's becoming dangerously unlivable. With each passing year, the state experiences more record-breaking heat waves, rising sea levels, and stronger, more destructive hurricanes. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, Florida's sea level is rising at twice the global average, and some coastal neighborhoods already experience sunny day flooding, even when there's no rain. Think about that, flooding without storms. Just high tides are enough to swamp streets, driveways, and businesses. In Miami Beach, for example, entire neighborhoods have to pump out seawater regularly just to keep roads passable. And during hurricane season, the danger multiplies. In the last few years alone, storms like Hurricane Ian and Hurricane Idalia have left billions in damage, displacing thousands of families and leaving others without power for weeks. But it's not just the hurricanes. The heat is becoming unbearable. In many parts of Florida, summer heat indexes regularly exceed 110 degrees, and the number of dangerously hot days is rising fast. Scientists warn that by 2050, Florida could experience more than 130 extreme heat days per year. That's nearly 5 months of oppressive, health-threatening heat. For vulnerable groups like seniors, children, and outdoor workers, this isn't just uncomfortable, it's life-threatening. And yet, despite these growing threats, many areas are still expanding rapidly, with homes and buildings going up in flood-prone zones. It's a ticking time bomb. Insurance companies are already pulling out. More on that in reason number 3. And the costs of climate adaptation are sky high. In short, climate change isn't a distant threat in Florida. It's a daily reality. And for many people, the constant anxiety, property risks, and health dangers have made living there feel impossible. Number 3, homeowners insurance crisis. If there's one problem turning life in Florida into a true financial disaster, it's the homeowners insurance crisis. Even people who can afford a home are now discovering that insuring it is almost impossible. Over the last few years, major insurance companies, including Farmers, AIA, and Bankers Insurance, have either pulled out of the state entirely or drastically limited coverage. Why? Because the cost of covering hurricane damage, flooding, and catastrophic storms has skyrocketed, making Florida one of the riskiest states to insure in the entire country. For the average homeowner, this has created a nightmare. Premiums that once cost maybe $500 or $2,000 a year are now jumping to $6,000, $8,000, even at $12,000 in certain regions. Some residents report their insurance costs rising by 100% to 300% in a single renewal cycle. And if that wasn't bad enough, thousands of policies are being dropped with little warning, forcing people to scramble for coverage, often ending up with the state-backed insurer Citizens, which is becoming overwhelmed. Imagine paying your mortgage, taxes, maintenance, and then being told your insurance is suddenly canceled because your roof is too old, even if it's only 10 years old. Or being quoted a premium higher than your entire monthly house payment. For many families, it's simply unsustainable. And here's the part most people don't realize. Uninsured homes aren't just risky, they're practically unmortgageable. Banks won't lend on properties without insurance. That means thousands of homeowners are stuck between paying insane premiums or risking foreclosure. The crisis is so severe that many longtime residents say this is the final push that's forcing them to leave. When simply protecting your home becomes a financial burden, the Florida dream starts to collapse. Number 4, overcrowding. Florida used to be known for its relaxed lifestyle and wide open spaces. But today, many parts of the state feel more like a packed amusement park than a place to call home. With over 300,000 new residents moving in annually, mostly from New York, New Jersey, and California, Florida has become one of the fastest growing states in the country, and the infrastructure simply can't keep up. In cities like Orlando, Tampa, and Fort Lauderdale, what used to be a 20-minute commute now takes over an hour. Major highways like I-4 and I-95 are constantly clogged, and local roads aren't much better. Want to get to the grocery store during rush hour? Good luck. School drop-offs, doctor appointments, and even quick errands have turned into stressful, time-sucking missions. And it's not just traffic. Schools are overcrowded. Hospitals are overbooked. Emergency services are stretched thin. In some fast-growing counties, classroom sizes are exploding, and residents report months-long waits for basic medical appointments. As more people flood into suburban areas, once quiet neighborhoods are now buzzing with construction noise, aggressive driving, and a complete lack of parking. The frustration is real. Imagine sitting in your car for 2 hours a day, sweating through your shirt just to get to and from work, only to find your favorite restaurant packed with tourists and your local park too crowded to enjoy. For many locals, this loss of quality of life is one of the biggest reasons they're throwing in the towel. Florida may still offer sunshine, but peace of mind? That's getting harder to find. Number 5. Rising utility bills. Florida's heat isn't just uncomfortable, it's expensive. With record-breaking temperatures becoming the norm, residents are cranking up their air conditioning just to survive. But as the mercury rises, so do the bills. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, electricity prices in Florida have jumped by nearly 20% in just 1 year, and many households are now paying $300 to $500 a month just to keep their homes livable. Unlike states with milder climates, air conditioning in Florida isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. In the summer, going without AC isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. Heat exhaustion and heat stroke are very real threats, especially for children, the elderly, and people with medical conditions. And it's not just the AC, water bills are also on the rise. thanks to increased demand and aging infrastructure. Many areas are implementing higher fees or water restrictions, especially during drought conditions. And if you think going solar is the answer, think again. While solar energy is growing in popularity, Florida has faced regulatory pushback and utility company lobbying, which has made it harder for residents to fully benefit from clean energy savings. Some homeowners even report extra fees or reduced credits for the solar power they produce. It's a frustrating cycle. The more extreme the weather, the more you pay to stay cool. The more you pay, the less financial freedom you have. For many Florida residents, especially those on fixed incomes, these rising utility costs are pushing them to the breaking point. When just staying cool in your own home becomes a monthly financial burden, it's no wonder so many are packing up and heading for cooler, more affordable places. If this video opened your eyes, let us know in the comments. What's your experience with living in or leaving Florida? We pour hours into creating content like this, so if you found it valuable, hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it means the world to us. Number 6. Water quality and environmental issues. Florida is famous for its beaches, springs, and lakes. But what happens when the water turns toxic? Over the past decade, Florida's water quality has declined at an alarming rate, with some areas experiencing dangerous levels of pollution that affect not just the environment, but the health and daily lives of residents. One of the most disturbing problems? Toxic algae blooms. Massive outbreaks of red tide and blue-green algae have plagued waterways from the Gulf Coast to Lake Okeechobee. These blooms release toxins that kill fish, poison marine life, and even cause respiratory issues in humans. The stench alone can drive tourists and locals away from entire coastlines for weeks at a time. According to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, some outbreaks are directly linked to runoff from agriculture, aging septic systems, and overdevelopment near fragile ecosystems. It's not just the oceans. Inland lakes and rivers have also been affected. In some communities, residents are warned not to swim, fish, or even touch the water due to contamination risks. And if that's not bad enough, drinking water in certain regions has raised concerns due to high nitrate levels and aging treatment systems. People move to Florida for nature, but when the water becomes a threat instead of a retreat, the dream quickly fades. Imagine planning a beach day, only to find dead fish lining the shore and warning signs telling you to stay away. Imagine waking up to the smell of sulfur drifting through your open windows. For many, this isn't a one-time inconvenience. It's become a regular part of life. And it's one more reason they're choosing to leave. Number 7. Political polarization. Florida isn't just divided by geography anymore. It's increasingly divided by politics. And for many residents, the tension is becoming too much to handle. What used to be casual disagreements among neighbors has now turned into heated debates at school board meetings, protests outside libraries, and arguments at the dinner table. For a growing number of Floridians, it feels like daily life is being politicized, from classrooms to clinics. In recent years, controversial policies have drawn national headlines, from book bans and curriculum restrictions in schools to heated debates over public health mandates and LGBTQ+ rights. Some parents say they no longer feel comfortable sending their kids to public school. Others say they feel silenced or unwelcome simply for having different views. The state has become a political battlefield, and the average person is caught in the middle. What's worse is the emotional exhaustion it creates. Many people move to Florida looking for peace, community, and sunshine, not to be pulled into constant political tension. But when everyday decisions like what your child reads or which doctor you visit become political statements, it creates a toxic atmosphere that wears people down over time. It's not about which side you're on, it's about how extreme things have become. Friends grow distant, neighborhoods become divided, and conversations turn into confrontations. This polarization has pushed many people, especially families and retirees, to seek calmer, more neutral environments, where they can focus on living their lives without fear of judgment or conflict. For some, it's no longer about red versus blue, it's about peace of mind versus constant stress. And that's a battle many are no longer willing to fight. Number 8. Healthcare access. Florida is often seen as a haven for retirees, But what happens when you can't get the health care you need? For many residents, especially seniors and low-income families, the state's healthcare system is stretched thin, expensive, and in some areas, shockingly hard to access. In fact, a 2023 report by the Commonwealth Fund ranked Florida 46th out of 50 states for healthcare access and affordability. What does that mean in real life? Long wait times to see a doctor, a shortage of specialists in rural and suburban areas, and sky-high out-of-pocket costs, even for people with insurance. It's not uncommon to wait 3 to 6 months just for a basic appointment, or to travel several hours to find a provider that's actually accepting new patients. Emergency rooms are overloaded, urgent care clinics are packed, and mental health services are critically understaffed. And while Florida has a large elderly population, the state did not expand Medicaid, leaving hundreds of thousands of low-income adults without coverage. Many are forced to delay treatment or avoid it entirely due to costs. For seniors who move to Florida expecting quality care in their golden years, this is a crushing reality. And for young families, it's even worse. Limited pediatric care, inconsistent maternal health resources, and a healthcare system that seems more focused on profit than patients. Imagine being sick or in pain, only to be told you'll have to wait weeks or pay thousands just to get help. That's not just frustrating, it's terrifying. For many Floridians, healthcare access isn't just inconvenient, it's become a deal breaker. When your health is on the line and the system keeps failing you, the sunshine doesn't feel worth it anymore. Number 9. Lack of public transportation. Unless you own a car, getting around Florida can feel like a daily battle. Despite its booming population, Florida ranks among the worst states for public transportation. In many cities and suburbs, buses are infrequent, unreliable, and often don't run at all during nights or weekends. Trains? Forget it. Most cities don't have them, and the few that do often serve only limited routes. For millions of residents, this means total dependence on cars and all the expenses that come with it: gas, insurance, maintenance, and rising toll fees. But not everyone can afford a reliable vehicle. Seniors who no longer drive, young adults, or low-income workers are left with limited options, making everyday tasks like commuting, grocery shopping, or going to the doctor a real challenge. Even in larger cities like Orlando, Tampa, and Jacksonville, public transit is woefully underdeveloped. Buses often arrive late, overcrowded, or not at all, and the routes rarely connect efficiently. A trip that should take 15 minutes by car can take over an hour and a half by bus, with multiple transfers and long walks between stops, often in Florida's intense heat or sudden downpours. There's also a safety concern. Many bus stops lack shade, benches, lighting, or proper shelters, leaving riders exposed to the elements and, in some cases, unsafe conditions. For people without cars, simply getting around feels like a punishment. For a modern, growing state, this lack of infrastructure is shocking. And for residents who want to live a more affordable, car-free lifestyle, Florida makes it nearly impossible. When daily life requires a vehicle just to function, and there's no backup plan, many are left asking, is this really sustainable? Number 10. Tourist overload. Florida thrives on tourism. It's home to Disney World, Universal Studios, white sand beaches, and countless attractions that bring in over 140 million visitors each year. But while the tourism industry pumps money into the economy, for everyday residents, it can feel like living in a theme park that never closes. During peak seasons, spring break, summer, and the holidays, entire cities are flooded with tourists. Highways are jammed, restaurants have hour-long waits, and grocery stores turn into chaotic messes. And it's not just the usual hotspots like Orlando or Miami. Even smaller coastal towns and once quiet suburbs are now struggling with crowds, noise, and rising prices driven by constant visitor demand. Many locals say they feel pushed out of their own communities. Public beaches are packed. Nature trails are overrun. Parking is a nightmare. And with so many short-term rentals taking over residential neighborhoods, it's common to have rowdy vacationers next door every weekend, throwing parties or treating your street like a hotel zone. The cost of living also rises with tourism. Businesses hike prices during peak times, and housing demand from short-term rental investors drives up rent and home costs. And while the state benefits economically, very little of that trickles down to the people dealing with the day-to-day consequences. For many longtime Floridians, the charm of living in a vacation destination has worn off. What once felt like paradise now feels overcrowded, overpriced, and overcommercialized. When your hometown becomes a revolving door of strangers, and peace, privacy, and routine are constantly disrupted, it's easy to understand why so many people finally say, I'm done. So, is Florida still the paradise it once promised to be? For millions of residents, the answer is becoming clearer. Not anymore. What was once a land of sunshine, freedom, and affordability has slowly transformed into a place burdened by rising costs, environmental risks, political tension, and daily frustrations that many simply can't ignore any longer. We've explored everything from unaffordable housing and failing infrastructure to worsening storms and overcrowded cities. These aren't just minor inconveniences, they're life-changing pressures that are pushing everyday people to their limits. And while Florida still has its beauty, culture, and charm, the hidden costs of living there are becoming too big for many to bear. But this isn't just about Florida, it's about quality of life. When the place you live starts to drain your energy, and your wallet, and your peace of mind, it's okay to ask tough questions. It's okay to rethink the dream, because sometimes holding onto a fantasy costs more than letting it go. So, whether you're a lifelong Floridian, someone who recently moved there, or someone thinking about packing up and leaving, you're not alone. And if this video helped you see things more clearly, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Are you thinking of leaving Florida, or are you trying to stick it out? What's been your experience? And if you found value in this video, please take a second to like, subscribe, and share it with someone else who needs to hear this. We pour our heart into making these videos, and your support helps us keep going.